Extroverted thinking and extroverted feeling have much in common. They are both extroverted judging functions and, as such, naturally goal oriented and closure seeking. ENTJs and ENFJs have these functions in the dominant position and are often seen as powerhouses with big dynamic personalities. For the most part, both types also tend to eagerly assume leadership positions and rarely opt to blend into the background. The natural tenacity of TE and FE is often magnified by the auxiliary introverted intuition and the tertiary extroverted sensation of the ENJ types. As a rule, the convergent, austere nature of NI paired with the broad, carnal nature of SE gives well-developed ENJ types the ability to adapt to changing circumstances while simultaneously maintaining the integrity of their visions. But for all their similarities, ENTJs and ENFJs engage the world in fundamentally different ways. The ENTJ's dominant TE means that she will gravitate more naturally towards an impersonal solution which she arrived at through the use of objective data. It might rightly be said of imbalanced TE that all the world's a spreadsheet and all the men and women merely cells. But even in the case of healthier TE types who are somewhat more attuned to their introverted feeling, the idea of each person being his or her own individual cell still very much applies. All TJ and FP types tend to experience their feelings as being distinct from those around them. As a result, ENTJs may see feelings as an unnecessary distraction from the ultimate goal they're pursuing. And since they experience feelings in such a subjective, individualized way, it is unlikely that they will take into account the overall mood of the room or the emotional ambience that sometimes greets their plans as a mild form of resistance. For the ENFJ, the opposite is true. A harmonious emotional ambience is not just a means, but an end in itself. Whether she's giving a lecture on astrophysics or championing civil rights for a disenfranchised minority group, the ENFJ's experience of closure is bound to be the strongest when feelings of goodwill fill the air. True to FE, she is willing to sacrifice some idiosyncrasy in the name of group harmony and social appropriateness in a way that doesn't quite sit right with dominant TE and which is utterly foreign to inferior FI. As FE users, ENFJs sees feelings as being malleable and belonging to the group as a whole. However, their instinct to soothe and smooth over potential conflict may come at the expense of unresolved inner tensions in their logic, which is the result of them repressing their introverted thinking. When TI is repressed, it often results in a smooth surface with fragile foundations underneath. When FI is repressed, the result is a brawny battering ram with no heart behind it. If an ENTJ and an ENFJ are on the same page, their union is truly a force to be reckoned with. In conflict, however, things can get ugly and fast. ENTJs naturally relish conflict and see it as the natural way for the best ideas to rise to the top. Their tendency in an argument is to multiply facts, piling facts upon facts, and browbeating their opponent with them until they submit. ENFJs, however, will naturally look for ways to find common ground with their adversary and win arguments by persuading the opposition with sweeping, unimpeachable appeals rather than brute force. Unfortunately, such appeals are the exact opposite of what the ENTJ wants. TE is all about establishing hierarchy and superiority, and there's almost nothing an ENTJ loves more than winning by a landslide, preferably of the objectively measurable kind. But if they must lose, they want to lose to a worthy opponent who has proven to be objectively superior, not by being wrapped up in velvety appeals to mutuality where the conflict was avoided and the logic was unclear. It is just as wrong to say that ENFJs are illogical as it is to say that ENTJs are unemotional. Just because thinking and feeling are their inferior functions, respectively, it doesn't mean they are not there. And there are many ways for an ENFJ and an ENTJ to reach compromise, especially since they both have similar access to NI and SE. But when thinking and feeling are contested between them, it is in the best interest of both to recognize the unique challenges that arise from having inferior FI and TI respectively. They should cultivate that awareness as much as possible and try to use that knowledge to rationalize the compromises they will inevitably have to make.